are at the 0 mile marker of the Blue Ridge Parkway. We're about to set out to drive all the way down to Cherokee-Maggie Valley on the parkway the whole way. So we've got our GoPro set up, our helmet cams. We're gonna stop a lot along the way. We've got at least 9-10 days to make this trip, so we're going to look at as much as we can along the way and just enjoy it. So let's get started. This is what I think of GoPro. I only wish these videos could convey just how peaceful the ride was. I don't know if we caught it at the right time. There was hardly any traffic. The fog had rolled in early in the morning, the cool air just riding down the parkway. You could hear the hum of your own engine going, and practically just at peace with the world. It was an amazing ride that morning. And we can see here I turned my camera backwards on my helmet. I thought I would try something new, so I pointed it backwards so you could see my wife on her rig following along. I do that a couple of times here, and I don't know if I like it or not. It's okay. It's just a different perspective riding down the road, but I did do that. And where we're headed here is in the Natural Bridge area of Virginia. We knew that there was another group of Ural riders, sidecar riders, that had met up to go on a waterfall tour, and they would be staying at one of the campgrounds over in the Natural Bridge area. And we're actually going to leave the parkway at this point to go over, and we're going to go in and tour Natural Bridge. We ended up staying at the Natural Bridge Hotel, and we met up with the other group of Ural riders, which was pretty cool. So here we are off the parkway. We're headed into, I forget the name of the town now, but it's Natural Bridge. I'll get my paperwork over here where we wrote where we were each day to kind of keep up with ourselves. Let's see. Yeah, it was Natural Bridge. No, that's where we went next. But it just says Natural Bridge. So that's where we went. And we went over to the campground where the biker gang, kind of strange to think of a collection of Ural riders as a biker gang, but we went over to the campground where they were to just see if they were there, and it turns out they weren't. And we decided to leave a little note, do a little bit of vandalism around the camp, and let them know that we were there. Nothing major, just having a little bit of fun with a couple of them. And then we headed on over to the Natural Bridge Museum, and we went on a tour there. And you can see there we're actually stopped at the campground. We went over to the Natural Bridge area, the gift shop, and we took the nickel and dime tour. We went down and walked up all the way to the end of the trail to the waterfall area. It's beautiful, and it's well worth the trip if you're ever in that area. It's closer to the interstate than you might think, so make sure you stop and go see it. And some other riders showed up, and then my wife was attacked by a bear, and that turned out okay. The bear didn't limp too bad afterwards. And then we stayed at this Natural Bridge Hotel. Now, expectations were a little higher than reality. That one scene down the hallway reminds me of The Shining, but they did have a good seafood dinner. That was an all-you-could-eat buffet, and we did all-you-can-eat. So here we are the next morning. We've got the gang showing up, and we're going to be heading out to go have breakfast at the Pink Cadillac Diner a little bit later. But now this rig, I like this rig. This is an Indian custom. I like that rig. That's pretty rig. But yeah, we had a blast there, and that guy, his name is Tomcat Fixer. If you go to SovietSteeds.com.
Yep. This is cool.
A lot more math than I imagined.
Now that's just class right there. Huge windshield. It looks a little bit more comfortable than the Ural.
Yeah.
And we set out on our way to the Pink Cadillac Diner to have breakfast. It wasn't too far away down the road. So we just had a procession of sidecar rigs, mostly Urals, heading over that way. It was quite interesting to see us all gathered in the parking lot too. And there's the obligatory pink building with the pink Cadillac sitting outside if you missed it. And
It's pink. So we pull in, circle around in the parking lot here, and kind of, take a few pictures and go inside and have breakfast. And I do have to admit, I really do like that Indian with the sidecar there. That is a sweet looking rig. There we are, all parked, lined up. It just looks good sitting out in the parking lot, if you ask me. Bunch of sidecar rigs. I don't know if we look too good sitting inside as the owners, but there we are. And afterward, we took a cruise up to the Blue Ridge Parkway. We all lined up, and I think I was actually leading at this point because we're going to continue our trip on, but the guys on the waterfall tour wanted to kind of hang with us a little bit, so we cruised up the Blue Ridge Parkway, stopped and kind of horsed around. You'll see a little bit of that here to come, but this is a long, winding mountain road to get back up there. But it was an enjoyable trip. I really like that shot of everybody following. It is just pretty cool. Just something neat to look at. And it didn't take us too terribly long to get back up to the parkway from down there. And the bikes did good climbing. We didn't have any issues, at least myself or my wife didn't. Nobody said they had any issues climbing the road. Wasn't too terrible, but fairly easy to do. And there we are getting back on the Blue Ridge Parkway. And after that we cruised down the Blue Ridge Parkway, not too terribly far, but far enough to have a good, enjoyable ride. So I'll just let you watch this for a little bit. And at this point we pulled off at one of the little sidings. I don't remember exactly which one this was, but while we were there we decided to have a little bit of fun here with Tomcat Fixer. Chad riding his rig just missed the camera that I set up with his out sidecar wheel, but he got it right this time, went right over the top of it, and that was pretty cool looking. But after we'd been there for a while, it was time to head out, so we got on the rigs and we continued our tour down the parkway. How we doing? Now, one thing we discovered that was, I guess not unexpected, just kind of nice, is when you're on motorcycles, you can just stop and sit there, and you're there. There's no getting out and climbing out, so that was nice. But we rode the rest of the way down, and we went into, I believe it was Hillsville, Virginia, is where we stopped that night, and we found a deal on the room. We decided we didn't want to camp, and we found a deal on a room, and as you can see, it's basically in the cellar. We're trolls at this point. And we head down into the room there and, had a good evening. Can't argue. We went out and had a little pizza and then had a good night's sleep.
Lights.
Room in a basement.